Hi, my name is Donnie Decker, and I'm with FoodBank Manager. Today we're going to do a report that'll tell you how many people, or in this case, how many households you have for every household size. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a total number of household size 1, how many households are size 2, how many households have 3 people in them. And we're going to do the report for a TFAP report I have to turn into my food bank. We're going to use two different spreadsheets. One's going to have the data and the other one is a report I'm going to fill out for the food bank. And both of these will be available in the description link below. To get started, let's look at the two forms I have to work with. First, the form I have to turn into the food bank is this quarterly report form for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. Now up here they kind of describe what it is they're looking for to help you calculate it, but it's very easy using FoodBank Manager to get your data from all your visits that you've been recording and then turn around and then using Excel fill in these fields very easily. To get this data that I need to go to FoodBank Manager first and run a report called a Visit History Export to get these values for the month I'm working on. Now I've done that already for January, February, and March. As you can see, I just simply double clicked them down here to rename the pages here for Excel. And then of course I created a calculation page. Now the calculation page is where we're going to do all the work. But first, let's go ahead and just look at FoodBank Manager and how I get this data. I'm going to go to Reports, Guest, Visit History Export. Once there, I'll choose the month I want to work with. In this case, I'm going to work with January 1st of this year, and I want to get the whole month, so I'll tell it to go to January 31st. So my from date is the 1st to the 31st of January. Now generally I would recommend if you have more than one service, you choose tracking method and you say which type of tracking method you want. In this case I want food. Now I only want two things. I want the guest ID, and in doing that I'm going to use command key to choose the items I want to see. And the reason why I use command is because I only want to selectively grab a couple fields, not all of them or arrange. Now I think that's the Alt key on a PC. Now I'm going to hold down that key and I'm also going to grab tracking result. Now I'm not going to grab the household total because that is just a household total of that record. What I want to see is the actual household total for food, which is the result the tracking method tracks by. In other words, the tracking methods will report out what the household total is at that moment of each visit, and that's the data I'm looking for. So if someone in January had a household total of 1 and February had a household total of 2, if I grab household total, I'll get a 2 for all visits, but in this case I want the 1 for January. Once I have that, I simply scroll to the bottom, I hit export, and I get my file. I grab that data and copy and paste it into the spreadsheet that you're going to be working with, which is what I've already done. Okay, now I have all my data and I've put it in my spreadsheet that I can work with. So I have my January's data, February and March and so on, just like we had spoke about. Now what I want to do first, so I can actually start putting this together, and I'm going to put this together in such a way that it makes it easy for you to utilize this, or at least follow my steps to make a whole quarter's reporting or even a whole year's reporting super fast. So let's see if we can do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take January numbers, and I'm just going to highlight both rows and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go to the calculation page, and this is where I'm going to do all that work, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Now these are pretty tiny, I can barely see them, so I imagine you have the same problem. So I'm going to go ahead and bump them up so that we can see them really well. Now keep in mind we're going to want to place these values in here. So what we're looking for is how many houses for January, how many homes that came in to receive services have a household size of 1, and how many have a household size of 2, and so on for the whole month of January. So to do that, I need to give the system, or at least I want to be able to identify how many of each of these. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this list right here, and this will become clear in just a minute. So I'm going to copy this, and in C, on the next second cell down, I'm going to go ahead and paste, but I'm going to paste special because I don't want them going right. I want them to go up and down, which is different than they're doing here. So I'm just going to click the little transpose box, and that'll actually change the direction they go. So I'll hit OK. So now I have my household size list. So I'm going to edit that and just call it household size list. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to get this value. So I want to say number of households. So number of households. All right. So how many households are household size 1? So here's 1. There's 2, 3, 4, and I could scroll through this. There's a lot of them. I don't know if I want to do that. So I really don't want to depend on that, counting on fingers and toes kind of thing. So let's just do it this way. Let's do what Excel offers, and they have a function called COUNTIF. So COUNTIF is this function right here. If you don't see your function page up here, it's really super easy. You click in the cell you want to start the function in, which is right now D2, okay? And I hit the FX up here in the top. Now this FX gives me a function list. If I don't see COUNTIF, I can just do a search for count and you'll see it pop up. In this case, I use it enough that I see it. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the function. Now, COUNTIF looks for two things. It looks for the range and the criteria. The range basically is nothing more than the pool of data you want to search through. So if I'm looking for all the ones or household size of ones, the data that I want to look through in this case is the tracking result. So I'm just going to click on the A column for that. So I want it to look at everything in the A column to get me look for all the ones, all the twos, and so on. Now in this particular criteria field here, this is what I'm actually looking for. So I want to start out looking for all the household sizes of 1 in column A. So to do that, all I have to do is click on the first cell, the cell that I want to look for, in this case C2 or 1 that you can see here. Now when I hit done, it's going to tell me I have 70 households that only have a household size of 1 in the system or in that month report. Now that's great. So that was very easy. Now I want to know twos. So how many twos are in that list? Well, if I click here, it's not telling me. I could go through COUNTIF and insert the function and click on A and then click on here. That's a lot of clicks, although there are faster ways. So the fastest way that I like is when you're on this cell, which as you can see is this COUNTIF formula. If you see this tiny little green dot here in the bottom right corner, if you just put your mouse over it, notice the cursor changes into a black plus sign, and you just double click it. And then it populates all the fields according to how many of 2s in this list, how many 3s are in this list, how many 4s, and so on. So now you can see my values. So I have 70 household size 1, and in this case you see the first couple here is 7. How many 7s do I have? I have 70 of those. I have 26 of 8s, 13 household sizes of 9s, and so on. I don't need to go, it even has some all the way as high as 20, which is interesting. All right, so now I want to do is I also want to calculate, because if you look over here, it says I need to have this list of numbers here, which I do now have very quickly, but I also have to know a couple things. I have to know total families, which this is basically a family list, and I have to have total persons. So how do I get total people? Well, total people is pretty simple. So I'm going to do number of people up here. Now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and do, once again, a little math to make this super easy. So follow me here. So if I have 70 households of a household size 1, it would make sense that 70 times 1 is my total of people for that group. Correct? So 102 households times 2, that would give me total number of people because each household has 2 people in it. So to do that, once again, I'll do that little bit of math. I'll go ahead and hit the FX. I'm going to do a sum, and I'm going to insert that function. Now it's going to try to give me the whole row. I don't want the whole row. All I want is C, and I want to times it, which is Shift 8, and then times D. And then I hit done. And as you can see, that gives me a 70. So 1 times 70 is 70. Now following that same trick of double clicking this little green dot, do that, and it populates all my results all the way through. So 77 times 3 is 231, and so on. So now I have my number of people for each household size, but I also now have to get totals. So looking at this report, I need total families and I need total persons. So to do that, I'm going to click underneath these and I'm going to add up all of my families and I'm going to add up all of my people. So first thing that I'll do is collect below my list of households, and doing once again a very easy method, I'll change to formulas up top and I'll click this backwards E, or they call auto sum, which is going to grab that column, and then I hit the enter key. Do the same thing over here. Go ahead and hit auto sum and hit the enter key. So now I know that I have 665 households and 3,045 people in those households. All right, so I could take 70 and go over here and type it in 70, 102 and put all that data in. And but there's an easier way. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So the easier way is simple. I'm going to go ahead and copy these. Now, the reason why I want to copy them is because if you look at them, this really isn't a value, it's a function. So it's doing COUNTIF. If I were to paste these into this field here, it would just give me zeros because it wouldn't see the fields it's looking for. So the only way to fix this would be to highlight these two rows, copy them, and then we're going to paste them wherever you want. In this case, I'm just going to go a couple over, and I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to choose paste, but this time I'm going to choose paste special. Now the reason why I'm doing that is because actually they have a function in here of saying paste values. That way it takes the answers from the formulas and puts them in and makes them actual fields of data versus formulas that you can't work with. So once I do that, now I have all my values. So if I click here, you see I have a 70. If you see I click here, I have a function. If I click here, I have a math function. If I click here, I have 70. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now there's two things that I'm going to need. So I'm going to grab this whole row and I'm going to copy it, because this includes my total people per house, my total households per household size, and my total number of households at the bottom, which is what we're looking for here. All the way through 20, household size, and then my total households. So what I'll do is I'll start right here, I'll right click, I'll paste special, and I'll say transpose. And then that'll pop them all in exactly the way I need. So ain't that nice? That makes it really easy. Now, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go right over here to this value, 3045, which is total people in those households. And I'm just going to simply copy that, and I'm going to paste that into this last field. I don't have data. There we go, 3045. Perfect. Now, notice that because I don't have all my squares, surrounded by all the little check boxes here. So to fix that, I'm just going to make this form look pretty. I'm going to go all the way across the top here, and I'm going to just choose this icon. If you don't see that, you can choose how you want. I'll choose all borders, and now all my little boxes are back, nice and pretty. All right, so I've done some math, and I've created a form that does a lot of work for me. And I don't know if I want to create this for every month. I mean, I'm sure you don't. So let me show you a cool little trick. Because these values here are for the month I'm working with, is January, I've already done January, so I don't need these anymore. So I'm just going to simply go and I'm going to delete these because I'm done working with it. The rest of this is all part of my formula. So what I want to do is, because I did January's numbers, I want to do February's numbers now, and I don't want to do it the hard way. I want to do it the easy way. So to do that, I'm going to click on February to get my values. I'm going to copy the A and B columns, which is the tracking result and the guest ID data. And then I'm going to go to the calculation page. Now here's where the magic happens. So notice what you see here when I highlight January's numbers and replace them with February's numbers. All these values changed. The values change because all the formulas are in place. They're all going to function exactly the way I made them. It's just that they're going to look at a new list over here of different values. In this case, this is February's numbers. So I don't have to go in here and create all the COUNTIFs anymore or do my multiplications of household size 1 times the total number of households, that kind of thing. All I have to do now to finish the whole next month is just highlight these two fields, these two rows, copy them, paste them just like I did the first time, but we're going to go paste special again and choose values. Now this is going to give me all my values now just like it did before. So remember this row here was all my household values. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go right over here because this is now February's numbers. I'm going to paste special and I'm going to say transpose. Transpose puts them all in the right order, and all I have left to do is just to copy this one field, and that's my total number of persons, and paste that in. All right, so now I have February in, way faster than January, and let's do the next month. So let's do March. Let's see how fast March can be. So I'll switch to March. I'll highlight A and B. I'll copy those. I'll go to the calculation page, and I'll paste them in now over the February numbers to change them to March, and all my values change. Now remember, last time I deleted these before, they're not the same, they're not these values. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete them, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to copy, paste over here, this time once again paste special, and I'm going to tell it to give me values and hit OK. Grab this first row, which is all my household sizes, number of households per household size, and go right over here to March. I'm going to paste special, and I'm going to tell it to transpose, and there's now all of my March numbers. So let's grab the last thing I need for March. Let's go ahead and copy that and paste that. And now I'm all done. So I've done my January numbers, February numbers, and March, all broke down by number of households for each household size. I've calculated my total families, and now I have my total people in those households as well. Now there's one last thing that they want. Oh, let's make this pretty first. We're going to highlight all these, and I'm going to go up here and then do that all borders. There we go. So that's nice now. All right, so how are we going to get these numbers added up? So they want to know my quarter totals for January, February, and March. Well, just like we did here, this is really simple. I'm going to go ahead and go to Formulas and Auto Sum again. Choose that. Now, notice though that it's including the top row of 1. Now, we don't want that because it'll add 2 to this one and 3 to that one and 16 to that one with zeros. It'll give you an answer of 16. We don't want that. So what we want to do is we just want to shorten it down so it's just these 3 rows. So January, February, and March's numbers. Hit enter, and that'll lock that in. So we have 231. Now to make this work all the way across, we're just going to go ahead and click and hold on that bottom right dot again and drag it all the way over to give me my total values. So as you can see, 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. Now this is my quarter totals and exactly what my FoodBank is looking for. Now because this is a formula, I might recommend that we go ahead and just copy this and paste it special and make it values. Copying it, and I'm going to paste right over it and paste special, telling it to be values only. And there you go. All done. Everything's exactly as it needs to be. All I have to do is print this out or email it to whoever needs to get it, and you're all set. I sure hope this video was helpful to you, that you learned something and make getting this kind of data or these types of numbers for your FoodBank easy and actually kind of fun. Feel free to use these forms, download them and use it for your own use if you have a need for this, or modify it to fit your needs. They're available for you as a tool to help you. If you have any questions, as always, please contact FoodBank Manager. Our numbers are on our website, and you have a wonderful day.